Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's reading vlog. I thought we can throw back and do a little mood reading vlog and see how much I can read in a week, or how much I do read in a week. So between me working and doing other videos this week, it is right now Tuesday. So from today until next Tuesday, we're gonna see how many books I read, how many pages I read while I'm mood reading, what books I'm gonna pick, what I'm in the mood for. I actually ended up just finishing up a book I was reading over the weekend, and that is called The Wingman by Stephanie Archer. It's a part of a hockey romance, little interconnected standalone series. I really liked the second one the best, The Fake Out, so highly recommend that one if you want like a banter-filled hockey fast-paced romance. But still, this one was okay. I think I'm gonna give it like a 3-star. I literally just finished it. So this morning I started on page 272 of this book, and then I think there's like 420 something pages. So after I complete what I'm reading today, we'll see how many pages I've read so far today. But between this book, I think I read about 100 something pages. That's a good start to the day. We've already finished a book. Even though I didn't read it in this video, I did literally just like 5 minutes ago finish up this book for a different video. You guys will already see in my doing book stuff video I talked about it, but I don't know exactly what I want to read next. I have my September TBR over here. I already finished one book that was on here, and I'm currently maybe gonna start listening to another one later. So between that, we have these to get through, and then I also have a few books over here that I would like to get to. I'm doing my Throne of Glass reread. I have a couple romances on my radar. I have a lot going on. I also have a couple books downloaded onto my Kindle that I could pick from, so I don't know exactly what I'm in the mood for just yet. I think I'm feeling kind of like a dark academia book, a little maybe like a dark academia romance, and I do have one downloaded onto my Kindle that I've been hearing good things about. I got this recommendation from Heather. It's called Nocticadia by Carrie Lake. I've never really read a dark academia romance, a gothic type of romance. The only one I've read a few years ago was Gothicana. I don't really remember too much from that, but I know it's dark academia. It has kind of like just spooky undertones within it, but it's also a romance, and I know this one is pretty long. I think it's like almost 700 pages. On my Kindle it says it's 678 pages, so I'm thinking about starting that one. I'm kind of in that mood ever since finishing Phantasma, which is like a dark gothic fantasy romantasy, which I know they're different. This one I don't know if it has fantasy elements in it. I don't really know exactly what it's about, but I'm kind of leaning more towards this one. I'm gonna go start a book. I will let you know which one I decide to choose and go with. I definitely want to pick a book from this list also throughout this week so I can get through my September TBR, which I have some pretty good books to read during the fall, I feel like, on my TBR for this month. So these will be fun to go through at some point, and we'll see you later tonight or tomorrow how much I read today and throughout this whole week, what books I'll be picking up, what I'll be reading, and how much I'll be reading. I'll see you in a little once I pick my next read. Alright, it is now the next day. I have my little stats for yesterday. Like I said, and earlier in the morning I finished The Wingman, and that ended up being 152 pages to complete that book. And then I started Nocticadia, and I read 82 pages yesterday before I fell asleep, so that concluded 234 pages yesterday. I started Nocticadia a little bit later in the day. I still don't know the full summary. I'm going into it kind of blind. I know like the themes of it and kind of like the genre it's going into, but it's a longer book. I know it's a slow burn, so we've kind of just built up the beginnings of the story, and we've got our main character, and she thinks she's kind of like seeing things, and like there's something going on in that realm, but she also got an acceptance letter into this university. It's very prestigious, kind of like high society university that not many people get accepted to, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. She comes from a home where she's paying her half of the rent. She's trying to help her sister get through school, so she has a lot of responsibility. So she's going through a mental struggle right now if she should go to the university or not. And then we also got the point of view of another character so far. Don't know too much about him yet, but he works at the university and he's in this very interesting field over there, and we're learning a lot about this one specific thing in this world. That's very vague summary. Once I get further into it, I can probably give a better understanding of what's happening. But so far so good. It's definitely giving me the exact vibes I want to read right now. But I didn't have time to read this morning. I had a few errands to run and I was filming another video, so I decided to just listen to the second Zodiac Academy. I started on page 32 because I started the book on my Kindle a few nights ago and I didn't get very far in. I fell asleep 32 pages in, so I decided to download the audiobook onto Audible. The series so far is interesting because not a lot is happening. If you don't know what Zodiac Academy is about, it's about these two girls from the mortal world who find out they're actually the heirs of the king and queen that passed away in the like Fae realm. So they're taken back over there. They have to graduate from the academy to accept like the heir to their like right to the throne. But since everyone thought they were dead, there's 4 other heirs and there's 4 males, and like there's a lot going on, but like not a lot of plot happening, where it's just like vibes and it's entertaining. And I like the audiobook a lot because as I was reading, like I said, I fell asleep 30 pages in. It was not holding my attention. The first one as well, like it was very like slow to read because you're learning about the characters and the academy and the powers and the fae and all the different paranormals that are happening, but the plot is very lacking. Like there's not much happening. And it's such a long series, so I'm very interested to see like where it goes from here. So I have my hopes still up that I'm going to enjoy the second one at least, so that I will continue the series. But I don't know if this one doesn't go well, if I'm not really into it, because right now I'm not connected to any characters. I don't really like any of the characters, to be honest. I feel like there has to be a lot of character development for me to enjoy the series, because I'm assuming there's romances in here, but with the male characters that we have in this book, I just cannot fathom the romances that probably come from here. I just don't see myself liking the characters, so there definitely has to be a lot of character development for me to enjoy it. So those are the 2 books going on right now. I usually don't have 2 books going at a time, but this seems to be working out. I don't know why. Oh, there's an airplane. I don't know why in my head this book is a fantasy, and then she just said that someone behind her is scrolling through Instagram, and I'm like, Instagram? But this is not a fantasy. I don't know why when I hear like a gothic, academia, romance, whatever, my mind goes straight to like paranormal fantasy. I don't know why those correlate in my head together, but when she said Instagram, I just got so shook and confused. I was like, wait, I'm not in a fantasy right now, because she's like in Maine. She just got off of whatever in Maine. She's going to an island off of Maine, which is where the made up part of this comes. And I think that's where I got a little like fantasy-esque in my head. I don't know why I thought this was fantasy, but that Instagram really threw me off. I'm on page 100. We hit the 100 mark. We have 578 more to go. Hello guys, it is now the next day. Yesterday I didn't read as much as I wanted to. I ended up making a fall music playlist and that took like 45 minutes of my time when I should have been reading. So if you want to listen to my fall playlist, it's linked in the description. I'll put it down there. I never make playlists ever, but that's when you know I was picking up my phone after like every chapter and I was like, you know what? I should just make my own playlist, because I was like trying to find a playlist that I wanted to listen to with the songs that like I could listen to just throughout the month, and I was like, I might as well make my own. So I don't make playlists often, so I sat there for quite a bit and made my own playlist. There's over like 200 songs in there, so I'll link it down below. But like I said, I was just going on my phone after every chapter. I don't know why nothing was really holding my attention. Well, I was just reading Nocticadia, but it wasn't really holding my attention because like I said, it's very slower in the beginning in the setup. Like right now I'm 300 pages in and we just got to like a really good part that kind of like is now hooking me in, like things are making sense. To calculate yesterday, I ended up in all reading 158 pages. Wait, no, 258 pages. I even used my calculator and I did that math wrong. So I read 156 pages of Nocticadia and then 102 pages I listened to Zodiac Academy, the second one. What's nice about listening to a book on Audible, and if you have it on like Kindle Unlimited on my Kindle, once I go back onto my Kindle, it kind of calculates where I am in the audiobook and it like switches to the page I'm on within the audiobook, or when I open up the audiobook, if I read on my Kindle, it like updates on there, which is really, really nice. So I listened to 102 pages. I didn't read that, but I'm just going to calculate it as pages just for the sake of the video. So it's now Thursday. I started on page 238 of Nocticadia, and like I said, I'm on page like 300 right now. I listened to a bit of the second Zodiac, but I haven't really gotten very far into that. I've had my fair share of grumpy male main characters this week reading these books, because we have like 4 or 5 male characters in the second Zodiac Academy that just like are ruthless, and I just like don't understand where any of this is gonna go. If I'm gonna continue, I'm still iffy on that, but I definitely want to finish listening to that one. I'm like interested to see like what's gonna happen, but right now it's just very cringy, and like everything that they say and they're doing, I'm just like, oh. For Nocticadia, like I said, it definitely picked up. I'm really, really interested in the story right now. I gave a very, very vague summary of this book when I was kind of into it and starting it in the beginning, but there's kind of like a mystery element now, and our main character at the school is trying to unearth the mystery and also the history of what happened at this school like back years ago. Mom died of like this mysterious illness, and it's kind of like linking to different things that she's learning at this school. So you have like the mystery element of that and like learning different things along with her, because she's obviously new to the school, so we're learning about all of this to her. We're just as clueless as her, but what I like about it is we get the other point of view. Davrick, I think is how you say his name, or Devrick, and he is the professor. He's the doctor there. He's her professor, and he specializes in this one illness that's like very uncommon everywhere else, but they specifically study it at Dracadia. And what I like about getting his point of view is he knows the history and he knows what's happened, and like everything that's linking in his point of view is like making so much sense. So just because we're like clueless with Lily over there, we also know more information than her, so we're waiting for her to play catch up. But I like so much that I have now learn this stuff, because now I'm like more intrigued. I know more of like the history and how all of this story and our characters and like the side characters and everything is going to connect, or at least we know like the beginnings of how it's going to connect, and that's really, really interesting, and it's definitely hooked me. Like I read maybe like 50 pages ago one little part that they gave us from like the history and from like the mystery of it all, and it connected a lot of dots, and I'm like, but so far I'm 46% of the way through. I'm on page 309, and the two characters, like from the 2 point of views, we mostly get Lilia's, but her and Devrick have only communicated a few times. He's still very much grumpy, and you see his like past and like why he's the way he is. Like there's a lot to him, but the romance is not really here yet. Again, it's very much of a slow burn, but something happened that kind of like switched their thoughts on each other, especially Devrick, and it was just like so, I don't want to say cringy, but it was really hard to read. Like I was like reading like this. If you read it, you know what I'm talking about, and it was a hard read. It was a hard read. So since that happened, I feel like they have more of an interest in each other, and it's very interesting that that's what kind of like turned the tables. But I don't know, I'm gonna keep reading. I'm definitely more interested now to see how all these pieces come together, and I still have like over 300 pages left, so I'm so interested to see what even happens and how we can have so many pages and like all of the lore that I'm now learning. I think it's getting crazy. I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna put on my headphones, and I'm going to listen to my fall playlist, because it's the perfect playlist to read this book. 50% in, well actually 46% in, I think the romance, not the romance, but like them interacting is definitely picking up. And as I'm reading and learning more about like the parasite that they're learning about in school and what she kind of went there to study and stuff, it's so interesting how the author, just like authors in general, can like come up with such interesting things to read about, and like how like intricate all of it is. Like my brain and my imagination could never come up with anything like this, and that's why I love reading so much. Like it's so cool how the author can take these creative thoughts and storylines in their head and put words to paper and make it just so interesting. And also the setting, like so atmospheric. Dark Academia vibes are so there, and they're so good. Even though it is a slow burn and slow pacing, I'm enjoying it even more, because when we do get those little pieces, it's just kind of chef's kiss where it's placed within the story. I think I just put the pieces together of the mystery and like the history and the past of like the school and the situation they're talking about and like her mom. I think I just figured it all out, and if I'm right, that's crazy. But I'm really enjoying learning about all those pieces, putting them together like I said yesterday, but also the romance has picked up, which I'll talk about in a little. I need to keep reading because I'm learning some more stuff. Okay, so let's update yesterday how much I read. I think I read kind of around the same. I've been reading all week, which I guess I have an average reading time, but yesterday of Nocticadia I read 235 pages, and then for Zodiac 2 I listened to like 47 pages, so that equals 282 pages, which is the most I read so far this week, but it's been in the average like 200 section. So that was yesterday's numbers, and then today I've been reading a bunch. I'm now 82% of the way through Nocticadia. I'm on page 552, so I have about 100-ish pages left. I'm really excited to see how this wraps up. Like I said, the romance definitely escalated, the plot definitely escalated. I do think that the romance I'm kind of iffy on because it's more lusty and more possessive, and it's definitely a forbidden romance, obviously. So I don't think I'm really loving it, but I do like that it progressed because it's adding a lot to the plot and it's adding a lot of like tension, but also complications within what's going on because obviously it's a forbidden romance and there's a lot at stake. And then like I said, the plot and like the mystery of the past and the history of the school and the illnesses and everything, that more is coming to light about that. So I'm really interested to see how this all wraps up and how it's all going to come together. I did guess something, like I said before, I had like a little theory and I was right about that, but I feel like there's a lot more that's going to come out that I'm really interested in, and I feel like I'm enjoying that part of this a lot more, the past and the history and putting all those pieces together, because it's so interesting and like also complex, and like the way it's all like intricate and made up just is so entertaining and so interesting. So I'm really interested to see how that all wraps up and how this is going to end, because this is a standalone. I thought this was part of a series for some reason. I think this author has another series, or the first book's out or something, and it's gonna be a duology. I don't really know. I thought this was a series, but it's not. But there's a lot happening right now. Again, escalated a lot is at stake, and I'm just kind of on the edge of my seat to finish this. So I'm definitely gonna finish this today, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. I'm, again, just on the edge of my seat. I'm in my mom's room because it's so dark in my room right now. The sun rises on her side of the house, so there's no sun in my room right now. It's so dark and gloomy in there, and I needed some bright space. So we're gonna finish this book in my mom's room. My Kindle has 3%, so I'm going to need a charger soon. I don't know why my Kindle's been dying so quickly recently. It's not old. I got this literally last year, so that's not good, but that's why I'm in a new setting right now. I'm sitting on my mom's bed, very comfy and cozy in here, but I needed some sunlight, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna finish up this book, 88% of the way through. Things are getting crazy. There's like something that they're hinting at, and if that's true, I'm gonna be so shook. I'm going back in. Stop. I know what's happening. This is crazy. I need answers. Like, they're just gonna put this in here and not tell me what's going on? It is a few hours later. Ended up finishing Nocticadia, and the last 100 pages were such an adrenaline rush. Like, I could not put it down. My heart was pumping. So much was going on, and I don't know if it's because I don't read this genre very often, like dark romances, dark academia, that like I didn't really expect where it was gonna go, or like what was gonna come back up and happen. Halfway through it was going so slow. Like, I was watching the percentage on the bottom of my Kindle, and it was just like dragging so slow, but not in a bad way. It was just the pacing was so slow that I almost like gave up on it. I was like, I don't see me enjoying the rest of it if this is how it's gonna go. But like, so much comes together, everything ties together, and it just makes so much sense for why it was intentionally like that. So I think if you like slow burn romances, if you like dark romances, if you want that atmospheric, like entertaining journey with like the mystery of the past of the school and like being in that type of setting, but also like forbidden, darker romance, the main character is very, or the male main character is a little bit morally gray, but like their romance, once it does pick up, gets very passionate, and like I said, it's a bit possessive and a bit lusty, But if you like romances like that mixed with a lot of like detail and learning a lot of history and like seeing these kind of like scandals come out, it's just very entertaining. But if you like anything like that, very atmospheric, I think you would enjoy this. But I think you should keep note on it being very much a slow burn, slow pace, and also just like a lot of build up and a lot of learning about the lore to get to the fun, not the fun, but like the more adrenaline pumping part. And when everything comes together, I was just like, I did not see it coming. I think I'm gonna end up giving this one a 4-star. Like I said, halfway through, I was like, this is gonna be 3.5. I think I needed to pick up, I needed the romance to come in. And once it did come in, I think I was hooked a little bit more. But again, not my favorite romantic interest and romantic couple. I don't think it's my favorite type of romance to read. But again, the conspiracies and everything else surrounding the school and the setting was just so fun to keep up with. I think just the two main characters were so different, but they also had like very similar passions and interests that like they kind of made sense together when they shouldn't have, and they shouldn't even have been together because again, it's a forbidden romance. So I really liked her writing style. I liked how intricate it was, and like just how her brain could come up with this story was really interesting. And like the parasite that they were talking about, the study that they were doing was so interesting. So I had a really good time reading this because I was really there with the characters. Again, so atmospheric. There was this one quote I read and I was like, yeah, no, I'm there with you. If heaven existed, I'd found it in those ancient dark hallways under cold misty skies with autumn's wet leaves sticking to the soles of my boots, in the scent of coffee and old books. Like it just really puts you there, and like the atmospheric part of it was just, it was so good. I think it's perfect for the season. Just if you like a dark academia forbidden romance, this is for you. After I finished that, I took a break, I showered, I got ready. I have a pretty busy weekend, so I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get done. I'm gonna try my best to read because I'm like kind of in a groove now. I really want to just pick up my next book, and I was in this dark academia setting. Like I said, I'm listening to Zodiac Academy, the second one, so like they're in their school and their academy. I just finished this dark academia, so I was gonna pick up In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, but I think I need a little bit of a brain break. I think I need a romance palette cleanser between going into more dark academics. I also have If We Were Villains on my September TBR. No, my October TBR. So I don't think I'm gonna do this one yet, but I think this one is what I'm gonna do after the romance that I read. The book that I think I'm gonna start is How to Hide in Plain Sight by Emma Noyes. This came up on my TikTok a few times and it was like quotes. I think the author might have posted it, that it came on my For You page, and I saw some of the quotes and I was like, this feels like more of an emotional type of romance, and I love those, and I added it to my want to read. I also love this cover, and I found it in Barnes recently and I picked it up, and ever since then I've just really wanted to read it. I already read the author's note in the beginning. She adds how she struggles with OCD and she really wanted to portray that into words through a character so that you can kind of understand what she goes through and what a lot of people go through that you don't see in real life, like physically. Like hiding in plain sight basically is what the author was trying to say, how she struggles with this. So the quotes that I saw, the author's note, the summary, I'm pretty sure it's her older brother's getting married, so there's a wedding in here which I'm really excited about, but it says that her best friend was waiting for her and looking handsome as ever. He's the person who when they met as children felt like finding the missing half of her soul. A childhood friend to lovers, one of my favorite tropes, a second chance maybe, but also more of an emotional romance where you can probably connect and relate a lot to the characters, and that's kind of what I'm in the mood for. I'm really excited about this one. I've been staring at it since I bought it, and since I saw the TikTok I knew I wanted to read it. Hello guys, it is now Saturday, so yesterday I ended up reading a total of 206 pages. Majority of that came from Nocticadia. I read 197 to finish that book up, and then I only read 9 pages of this book before I left, and then I just didn't read the rest of the night. And then this morning I went to, or this afternoon, I spent a few hours at Barnes & Noble, and I worked there and I read a bit, and I got I think like 60-ish pages in. Yeah, I'm on page 62 of this book right now. So I'm going to dinner with my mom. I'm hanging with my friend Kay tonight, so I don't have too much time to read, but hopefully before bed I can get some in because I'm really enjoying it so far. We're still in the very beginnings of the book, so it's told through Elliot's point of view, and it's 2 timelines. Back in the past timeline, she's around 10 years old, I think like right before 5th grade or something like that, and it's kind of showing that she's like the youngest of a really big family. She has a lot of siblings, and she's closest to one sibling in age, but everyone else, like, she feels very disconnected. And then something tragic happens to the family, and that kind of starts the spiral and kind of triggers what is going on inside of her brain. And then it fast forward to present day. She's now 21. She hasn't spoken to her family in 3 years, and again, her brother's getting married. Our male main character did pop up. His name is Manuel, I think. He's only been in a couple scenes, but he's on the island where they're at right now, like meeting up back up with the family at the little reunion they're having. And you can see in her point of view, in her thoughts, like how hard and how much she struggles around her family because of how she is personally, and she never expressed that to anyone, so her family doesn't really understand how she like feels and stuff about a lot of things. She's kind of held that into herself, and I'm assuming the only person that really knows and understands is Manuel, but we don't really know what happened and why they haven't spoken in a while, so we have that little mystery in here. But I'm excited to see how they connected back in the day, because she met him when she was going into 5th grade when she was 10 years old, when something big happened with her family, and she's like really struggling internally at such a young age, and she meets him. He's the new student in her class, and that's all I've gotten so far, which I feel like is a good amount for getting 60 pages in. So far, I like the writing style. I like how deep we already are in with our character and like how she feels like internally, and I like the way that it was set up, like the past timeline telling us kind of what happened within the family. Like you could really feel it, especially really early on in the book, which I really like that. I like how I'm already having some feeling and connections with our character. So I feel like this one may be a bit less of romance heavy. I know that's going to take a big part of the book, and it's like the quote that I saw on TikTok and stuff. It's definitely looking like a romance, but I do think we're gonna get a lot with our main character Elliot and how she feels, and have that like women's fiction and just like personal storyline throughout the book, her development and her arc, if you know what I mean. So that's my update. That's as far as I've gotten. I feel like I'm doing the reading 200 pages a day challenge, because every day I've read around 200 pages, and I've been unintentionally doing that. Hello besties, I have some bookish updates. I've read quite a bit since I last talked yesterday. I am still in the same sweatshirt as yesterday. I just got this and I'm obsessed with it, so I haven't really taken it off, and we know that happens every time I get a new piece of clothing. I just constantly wear it nonstop. So if you see me wearing this sweatshirt a lot, now you know why. Yesterday I ended up reading 103 pages of this book, and it was right before bed where I read majority of that. And at one point I couldn't really put it down. The writing flows really well. Like once I'm in it and I want to continue writing, but it's weird because there's not much of a plot happening. But I ended up putting the book down, going to sleep, and then this morning I just couldn't stop reading. Like I said, once I'm in it, I just can't stop reading. So I'm on page 244 right now, chapter 26, well over halfway. I'm definitely gonna finish it today and then start up our next book. We've just been focusing a lot with Elliot and her OCD, and again how it was triggered when she was younger, and how she was like growing up with it and keeping a lot of it to herself, and when she met Manuel and he was like the one person that she can confide in and speak to. And then you have the present day, them doing activities with the family. Manuel's there again, and she's kind of just like shut down, not really spoken to her family, because she's always felt like just the youngest sibling. She can't really speak on anything. She doesn't feel included at all. So the main focus of the OCD though is definitely the forefront of the entire book. Like I said, there's not much plot, and I appreciate learning about it, learning what she goes through and how she struggles, and how this is like such a huge part of her. And it definitely makes sense why it's like the main plot and focus of the book, and how it not only affects within herself personally and internally, but also with the people around her. Like we're definitely getting that, and how it kind of like plagues her every thought and every movement. But I feel like we aren't getting to know her on any other level. Like I wish I knew other things that she likes, or the things that she does, or the side characters. I wish I knew more about them. It's more just how she views them, and along with like not much of a plot happening, I feel like I'm not connecting with any of our characters. And along with us kind of just focusing on the OCD aspect of it, I feel like it's also making the romance kind of lack, which I knew was gonna be more of like a subplot, and it's just like kind of like a stepping stone of how they met and how it kind of helped with her understanding what was happening inside her head. But I just feel like it's lacking the chemistry. Like I don't really feel the chemistry between the two characters, or any of the tension, especially them seeing each other again after a few years. I don't really feel any of the spark that was there when they were younger and when they met. I feel like he's more of just like a friend and someone who can really understand her more on a platonic level, if that makes any sense. So those are my thoughts so far getting this far into the book. I haven't hit the quote that I saw on TikTok yet, so I'm definitely waiting for that one to pop back up, and maybe hopefully the romance will pick up. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. We can see a little bit more of that, maybe see a little bit more of our character, because we've been with her for so long. We've seen the past and the present, but I feel like they're not meshing well, and not a lot is like connecting together. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna go finish this, I'll come back with updates, and then we'll definitely start our next book probably later tonight. I'm really excited about that one. So happy Monday. Today is our last day reading together, which is crazy. It's already been a week of reading, but I finished How to Hide in Plain Sight last night. I'm still thinking of a rating on it. I think after I give my opinion and my thoughts on it, maybe it'll click on what rating I should give it. The topic on hand gets a lot heavier as you continue into the main character's mind and into the storyline, and the plot, it gets like heavier, a bit darker. But with all of that, I really commend the author Emma Noyes for writing about such a vulnerable topic to her and something that she can relate to and something that she has gone through, and writing it so openly on the paper and so authentically. And she wrote it with a lot of like intricacy and detail that's positive and uplifting, but like I said, it also gets a bit heavy at times, so there's a mix between both. But I feel like she did such an incredible job portraying what she personally goes through our main character. For the actual plot, I think the past was really sweet, getting to know our main characters becoming friends and what they would do, becoming best friends and meeting each other, and how Manuel was a safe space and a very just like comforting and also understanding spot for our main character Elliot. But I feel like the present was the part where it was more hard to connect to, because our main character goes through so much and she has separated herself so much from the people that are in her life and in her personal life, her family and Manuel. So she kind of lacks in the communication department with everyone. So when someone talks to her, brings something up, she kind of just like folds into herself, which stems from her OCD and not being able to open up throughout her whole entire life and just feeling the way she's felt within her family. But most times when like Manuel especially would try to talk to her, she would just like say something random and like run away. And it happened multiple times, and that just got me a little bit. I wish she kind of just spoke a little bit sooner before the ending, because the ending wrapped up really quick. The quote that I was looking for was literally on one of the last pages of the book. I would recommend this if you want more of an angsty read with the childhood friends to second chance stuff that's going on with the plot, but also it has family themes within it and family ties, and also just like family drama. I feel like it's not very in detail with the family stuff. Again, I wish the side characters were more developed. I feel like I really would have connected more to that. But again, I'd recommend it if you like the family drama and the angst, but it also has a lot of heart and a lot of exploration, of course, on mental health. So if you like any of those things, I would recommend this. Again, the writing style is very fast paced. I don't think I connected with any of the characters or the plot, but again, I had a good time while I was reading it and understanding what our character was going through. And then last night and into today, I started Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laureate Gilmore. I did find out that this is a pen name, and then also in the very beginning little author's note, she said that if you ever wished you lived in Stars Hollow, which is a town that Gilmore Girls takes place in, or that Luke and Lorelai would just get together already, then her books are definitely for you. So this plot is definitely reminiscent and takes a lot of inspiration from Gilmore Girls, which I am watching back there. As soon as I started this book, I started watching my episodes that I'm on. I'm still on season 1. I'm very early on into the show. It's my first time watching it, so I was really excited picking this up because as a newcomer to the Gilmore Girls world, I feel like reading something that has a lot of similarities to the characters and the setting, of course, felt like it was going to be really fun. And so far it has been. I know this book is not going to be a highly rated one, but sometimes it's fun to read like a themed book. The atmosphere of this one is definitely giving the really tight-knit small town trope. You know, grumpy sunshine, we have our main character takes over her aunt's Pumpkin Spice Cafe in this small town, and you have the grumpy Logan, who's a farmer in the town, and you have a lot of the side characters that are just nosy in everyone's business. You know, those like very typical quintessential small town characters and plot. It feels like if you took a Hallmark Christmas novel, Christmas movie, and threw it into a fall themed one, that's kind of what you're getting in this one. It's nothing crazy. I do think the romance escalated pretty quickly. I'm on page 150 right now, and right from the beginning, as soon as they meet, they kind of have, not, I wouldn't even say a spark, I would just, in their point of views, it's also third person, but in their point of views, they already have an attraction to each other, but they can't really do much about it for personal reasons that they've been through. So I don't know, I think it's just gonna be a fun light read. Yesterday, I didn't even say how much I read yesterday, did I? Sunday, I read a total of 285 pages, so that's the most, I think, only by like a couple pages that I read so far this week, and that was because I ended up binging the rest of this book and then starting up this book. I wasn't gonna start this last night, but it was eyeing me down, and I was watching Gilmore Girls, and I was like, you know what? I might as well start it, and then I couldn't put it down. And I read, what did I say? 42 pages yesterday of this book, and then the rest so far has been today. I haven't even finished this, but I would totally recommend it so far. If you love Gilmore Girls and you just want to read about a town that feels very similar, I think this is like perfect for Gilmore Girls fans. And if you have not watched Gilmore Girls but you want to, I would read this book, I would start the show, and I would get into the fall vibes with both. That's so weird. Rory in the show just said, well, this town loves celebrating or something like that, and I just read in the book, this town loved an event. That was really spooky. Hello guys, it has officially been a week of filming this video of just mood reading and reading throughout the week and seeing how many pages I've read. So yesterday I read up to page 200 in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I had a concert last night, so I didn't end up reading later before bed, which I usually end up doing, and that's where I get a lot of my reading done, is before bed. So I ended up reading 158 pages of Pumpkin Spice Cafe yesterday, which I feel like is really, really good. I had a pretty busy day yesterday. So unfortunately I will not be finishing this book in this video. We'll talk about it in my wrap up, or if you're in our book club, we'll be talking about it there. We'll have a reading vlog there. And then also, I know I was listening to the second Zodiac Academy throughout this video as well, but I have not finished that one. I think that's gonna be one that I should listen to throughout the month. So hopefully, again, in my November wrap up, we can chat about that one. But in all, this whole entire week, I've calculated all the pages. I've read 1,526 pages, which I think is amazing. It's really interesting to see throughout my weeks of like what I'm doing as I'm reading, how many pages I get done, because I never actually calculate the pages I'm reading. I just see, obviously, if I'm finishing the book, if I'm halfway, like those kind of check marks or checkpoints. So on average, I read about 100 to 200 pages a day, which I feel like checks out. Obviously, some days I'll read more if I'm binging a book, if I have more time. Some days I'm not reading a lot, if I'm busy, if I'm just not in the mood to read. So that's kind of an average of how many pages I read a day. Thank you guys so much for watching, for coming along with me. Let me know what you've read in the past week, any of your new favorite books, if you found any recommendations for me, if you've read any of these books. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!